I don't have a churu with me, so let's pretend that this pen is a churu. And when the cat is comfortable getting 4 paws or 3 paws up onto your thighs, you want to start moving into the petting sequence. There is a video on the website that talks about the transition from 4 paws up to the petting sequence, so that essentially you end up in step 0. We'll talk a little bit about it, but the angles there are also really good. I suggest you check that out. So you're going to lead the cat up your thighs, but before you do that, you're going to take this hand, have it relaxed, and just as if you're hanging your hand, you're going to have your fingers pointing to the ceiling, and the hand is going to be placed so that it is right in between the thighs, where it's kind of sitting on the closer thigh with the fingers near the middle. So you have the cat come forward following the churu, and oftentimes the cat's coming in a little high. So what I'll do is I'll lower the cat's head, I'll move the cat's head left or right, just so that I position the cat's head to be where it needs to be near my hand, instead of my hand having to go to the cat. Once the cat is in place, I make sure to keep the churu constantly going. You wait until the cat is completely oblivious to this hand being nearby. Oftentimes in the beginning, the cat will shy away and back off, and you repeat it over and over again. But once the cat is oblivious to that, you can move on to step 1. Step 1 is the feather touch. And what we do is we always start at step 0 every single time, no matter what step we're at on the petting sequence, where we bring the cat up, have the cat's face near the hand, and then we go from step 0, hand near face, we go to step 1, which is the feather touch. The feather touch is the back of our fingers touching just the fur of the cat and not touching the skin. Because your hand is already positioned near the cat's face, all you have to do is slide the hand forward 1/2 inch, 1 inch max, and then you're touching the fur of the cat. Again, make sure not to touch the skin yet. The whole time we're giving churu. The first time that happens, the cat may go back, you lure the cat back forward with the churu, and on and on. Once the cat is completely oblivious to the back of your fingers touching the fur of the cheek, you move on to step 2, which is skin touch. Because the hand is already positioned really close to the skin of the cat, since, especially with the short-haired cats, you're only talking, again, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, what we do is we rotate where our fingers connect with the base of our palm. So if my hands are already here doing skin touch, all I have to do is this. You see that? It's very tiny. This. And that is already touching the skin of the cat without applying any pressure. Again, make sure you're keeping that churu flowing really well so that the cat stays distracted. The first time you do that, the cat may go back a little bit, you lure the cat back. And when you lure the cat, so let's say at this point with skin touch, the cat goes backwards, you lure the cat back forward, and you're going to repeat again from step 0, but each step is a fraction of a second. So you bring the cat forward, you get the cat positioned with the hand near face really quickly, and then you do a feather touch. Within a fraction of a second, you do a skin touch. After skin touch, we're going to move into light pressure. And for light pressure, what we do is we are touching the skin, but we just push in a little bit at the skin so that the cat can feel a little bit of pressure. Nothing hard, just a little bit of pressure. So another 1/8 to not even 1/4 of an inch in, right? So again, I am here at skin touch, and I rotate here on the knuckles at the base of my fingers in order to do light pressure. Did you see that again? Just like that, very tiny. And you'll feel it if the cat backs away. And again, you're giving churu the whole time. If the cat backs away, I'm just going to reiterate, we start again at step 0 when we lure the cat back. So we lure the cat back, and we're always going to start with hand near face, fraction of a second only, feather, hand near face, feather touch, fraction of a second, skin touch, fraction of a second, light pressure. You want to do it pretty quickly where you get to the point of the current step the cat is at, so you don't waste the treat. Otherwise, you're using up the treat for steps that the cat's already comfortable with. So it's really important that those are only a fraction of a second. So we covered step 0, hand near face, step 1, feather touch, step 2, skin touch, step 3, light pressure. Once the cat is comfortable with light pressure on the cheek, we're going to start the petting. But we have to start with the back of the hand. And what we do is we start with the back of the hand, and we're going to move our arm in a position this way. So if you see, I'm going to move here so you can take a look. I am moving at the elbow. So it's a very straight line when I'm petting the cat, right? And it's not back and forth this way. Literally, it's like pet. And then what I do is I come down and around, making a U shape. That way, it's not showing up at the cat's peripheral vision that this cat's hand's coming towards it. Because what I've seen in the past is people would pet and then they'd come back around. But when they come back around, the hand is at eye level. The cat would get freaked out or the cat would run off. So what we do instead is we're going to push at the elbow forward to pet, much slower than what you just saw now, which I'll show you in a moment. And then you'll come down in a U shape to come back up under the chin or under the cheek area. And then you're going to pet again. And you don't even have to go all the way to the cheek. In fact, you can come down in a U shape and come back at the shoulder. And then you're going to pet from shoulder to hip and come back down around, come at the shoulder. So only the first pet starts at the cheek. After that, all the pets start at the shoulder. Because if you keep starting at the cheek, again, the whole peripheral vision skittishness might come in. So let me show you what that looks like, right? So whenever you are at the back of the hand step, again, we start at step 0. Let's say I'm starting my session. I'm leading the cat up with a churu with my hand here. I get the cat at back of the hand. I do feather touch, skin touch, light pressure, and then back of hand. And when you do back of hand, you're going to go really slowly like this initially, right? And when you start the back of hand, in the very beginning, you'll actually hold back a little bit in terms of pressure. So remember, we were at light pressure before we started the back of the hand. I might even have to go to feather touch and feather touch the first few times I pet with the back of the hand. And you see how slow I'm going? You want to go this slowly and come down and come back up nice and slow where the shoulder is, feather touch, and you're going to pet the cat again this way to the hip. And as the cat gets more comfortable with it, you can start petting with the back of the hand with skin touch, back of the hand, and then light pressure, back of the hand. It's important that we first work on getting the cat used to more and more pressure when we're petting while going excruciatingly slow. I always tell people, if it doesn't feel painfully slow to you, you're not going slow enough. You'd be surprised. Everyone thinks they're going slowly, but they're not. And once the cat gets used to the pressure, then we can start getting the cat, applying that more pressure, we can get the cat used to increased speed until you get to the point where it's a normal petting speed. So again, we always increase pressure first and then we increase speed. The thing to keep in mind when you're doing back of the hand petting is have your palm facing the ceiling. A lot of times I see people get a little sloppy and they start petting like this, okay? And what happens is you start to see the fingertips flick at the back. When they let go, the fingertips are flicking. I'm exaggerating it here, but the fingertips are flicking. And that feels very different to the cat than this. And you can even try it on your hand. This versus this. This is a lot more grounded versus this is kind of makes you a little antsy, feeling 4 different fingertips versus one whole piece. So this feels like one whole piece. Another benefit of why we want it to feel like one whole piece is later we're going to do the palm of the hand. And the hand palm feels like one whole piece, not 4 fingertips. So it's really important to be be very conscious that you're using the fingers together and they're not apart, so together, and that you're going palm facing the ceiling, straight forward, moving at the elbow instead of flicking like this. After you finish back of the hand, you're going to move to palm petting. And remember, the cat must be oblivious to the current step. Do it for another 1, 2, or 3 days at the current step, cat completely oblivious, and then move on to the next step. Because if you rush it and the cat's not yet oblivious to the current step and you're ready to start to do the next step, I've seen it too many times. The cat will have a hard time when you get to the stage of petting without treats, because what we're working on there is for the cat to enjoy the petting. So we're finishing off the back of the hand. We've already gotten to the point where the cat's comfortable with more pressure. The cat's also comfortable with a normal petting speed with the back of the hand, completely oblivious to it the whole time we're giving churu. Here's my churu. And then we move on to step 5, which is the palm of the hand. Now, when I do the palm of the hand, I always do one pet with the back of the hand and then switch to palm. So what do? Starting at step 0 again, the cat's coming up, following the churu, coming up to be next to our hand, and then we do feather touch, skin touch, light pressure, one pet with the back of the hand, and then I flip my hand around and I start at the shoulder and I do palm petting. With palm petting, there's a couple things to remember. In the beginning, when you do the palm petting, similar to the back of the hand, you always lighten up the pressure. Because remember, the cat was really used to normal speed and normal pressure here. You want to lighten back up to feather touch. If the cat's okay with it, maybe even skin touch. But you want to lighten back to feather touch and go excruciatingly slowly again. Right? Because the palm feels very different than the back of the hand. So let's show that again. You're going to bring the cat up. Near the face, you're going to do feather touch, skin touch, light pressure. Back of the hand can be normal because the cat's used to it by now. And then when you come back around to do the palm, you do feather touch and you go excruciatingly slowly. Okay, a couple of other things to keep in mind with the palm of the hand. You need to try to get your fingers to point to the ceiling as much as possible while it's still comfortable for you. This is very awkward and hurts the wrist, so I realize you can't be 90 degrees facing the ceiling. What I find to be most comfortable for people is to be about 45 degrees, where they're petting at a 45-degree angle. What I just want to make sure you do not do is do not pet the cat this way. Sometimes I see some people petting the cat this way. Don't do that, because again, the cat is feeling 4 fingers. Or 4 fingertips. You don't want that. You need to be at some sort of angle so that it feels like one whole piece right here. The other thing, in addition to the placement of the hand, is you want to make sure that your hands don't touch the spine of the cat. So keep the hand at the side, so from going from shoulder to hip. If you start to touch the spine, the cat's not ready for that yet, and the cat's going to be too jumpy and keep pulling back. That's going to be your next step. So once the cat is comfortable with palm of the hand petting, then you can go from palm of the hand and start working on advanced petting, which is the spine. So you can start now curling the hand over the spine of the cat, and you can even start to touch the tail. And in the beginning, that's going to be a little uncomfortable for the cat. You have to read the cat. And again, the whole time you're giving churu, you're going to want to go extra slow, no pressure at first. And then as the cat gets comfortable with it, add the pressure and then add the speed. So when you're done with step 6, the cat's totally comfortable getting pet on the body, on the top of the spine, on the tail. And I even sometimes, will touch the tail like this, get the cat used to that. Then after that, you go to step 7, which is advanced petting on the head. And for that, what you're going to do is you're going to have the hand petting, and you're going to slowly have the thumb sticking up and coming up the head of the cat, where you will inch up higher and higher. So every time you bring your hand up, it's going to be a little bit higher on the head of the cat. And definitely watch the demo video because there's a good above, overhead angle where Kayla shows you exactly where her thumb is placed. So when that's all done, your cat is almost ready to go. Just a few more steps to get socialized, but the cat now is totally comfortable getting petted. And then we move on to getting the cat to enjoy getting petted without treats, because again, this whole time we're doing the petting sequence with treats. Do not pet without treats until you get to the next step, which is petting without treats.